Serious, bullies who felt bad for what you did and eventually tried to say sorry. How did it go? I don't recommend doing this, but I deserved what happened to me. I messed with this one kid in our youth group for a while. He was much bigger than me. Finally, one day he snaps and beat me up with a tree branch. We became friends afterward and I didn't mess with him anymore. Again, I don't recommend beating up your bully, but it sure put me in my place when that kid did. As someone who was bullied, I 100% do recommend it. Once people hear about it, the bullying stops. It is completely worth whatever punishment you get. I did it way too late and regret not doing it years earlier. Incredibly minor compared to a lot of people in this thread, but I did once get chewed up about something I said as a teenage edgelord that was somewhat homophobic. I apologized for it after what turned out to be far too long. The person didn't even remember and thought it was silly that I'd even bother to bring it up. Made me feel better, at least. I went to a Christian high school, which was a part of a larger ministry that included a Bible college. I think I was in 9th or 10th grade when this happened. Anyway, it was pretty common for new freshmen at the Bible college to work for the church or school to help pay for tuition. This new freshman guy moves here from another state and starts working for general cleanup handyman type stuff for the campus. He would come through every now and then and take out the trash at our school. I don't know why, but me and my best friend were pretty mean to him. We just thought we were being funny. We would slap him on the back and say mean things, which I actually don't remember anymore. To us at the time, this guy was quite a bit older than us. He was in college, and we were in high school, so it was okay, just having fun. Fast forward 4 years, I was starting Bible college myself. I came from a rough background and was working 2 jobs to pay for school. Parents didn't have any money to help. I was really passionate about what I was doing, but it was hard. He had actually since gone on to be one of the pastors at the church, large church, several thousand people, and I was involved in ministry there in some facets too, so I saw him all the time and remembered. Eventually it dawned on me that we were really jerks to that guy, and I felt terrible. It was super awkward, but I eventually got the courage to message him on Facebook and say that I was sorry for how we acted back then. I can't find the message now, it's been years, but he just said don't worry about it, and I'm honestly not sure if he even remembered. Maybe at the time it was just fun and games to him too, and to him we were just a bunch of stupid kids or whatever. Anyway, I was really glad I got that out there, at least for myself. I bullied a kid in middle school for being chubby and trying to intrude in my friend group. Sounds ridiculous now, I know. Around senior year of high school we became close friends without a proper apology. Today I'm 22 and he's my roommate. The best friend I could ask for. I'm the chubby one now. I didn't bully them, per se. I never outwardly made fun of her or picked on her, but I was really rude and exclusive. It was clear she was lonely and just wanted friends. But anytime she tried to approach me or my friends, and while I didn't have many either, we would ignore her or just stop talking until she went away or we would leave. I messaged her on Facebook last year and apologized. She told me that she didn't forgive me because while I was being mean to her, she was being bullied and traumatized at home and she was still hurt by the way I treated her. It kind of threw me off because, while I didn't necessarily expect her to forgive me or become my best friend, I didn't realize how much my rudeness hurt her. I mean, it's to a point that she still is living with it 15 years later. There was this girl at my school, Jess. She was mentally challenged and I bullied her throughout the 3rd, 4th grade. I would flat tire her and spread rumors about her. The worst things is that when we would flat tire her, she wouldn't care and would always accept my apology. Then one day, I remember thinking that this wasn't okay and started being nice to her, yelling and even fighting people who made fun of her. She ended being my best friend for a couple years. She was so nice and fun to be with. I haven't seen her in about 10 years, but I hope she's well. It wasn't bullying so much, but this one guy had this catchphrase "you suck" and probably used it more than my name. He didn't even seem to dislike me, but he did seem to have a bit of disdain. Anyway, years later I said hi on Facebook, figuring he'd grown out of it. Nope. Well, what can you do? Please tell me that you said hi and he said you suck. One of my bullies tried to apologize to me after years of abuse when he was in his mid-20s because he changed. I told him I hope so, but I don't give a crap. If you want absolution, talk to a priest. Bye. Yeah, that person was looking for some quick validation that they're not a crappy person. Don't give them that satisfaction. Hope you're doing great now. I used to be annoyed by this one girl all the time because she was, well, annoying. She thought we were friends and always tried to be around me because I wasn't outrightly rude to her. Eventually I got fed up with it and started being rude to her, hoping she would leave me alone. This went on for years and she was never mean to me once. Years passed and I fell head over heels for a boy who made me feel just awful. Unrelated, but I had a revelation. I was very unintentionally mean to other kids when I was growing up, and to this day I'm still not sure why I was like that. My thoughts went back to her. I sent her a lengthy message back when I had a Facebook and apologized for the way I treated her. About a year later my life took a dark turn very quickly and she was the only one there for me when all my friends abandoned me. She was my best friend for about 7 years. Last year, after a couple of years of being the only one trying to maintain the friendship, it finally died. I loved her like the sister I've always wanted. There's people you would die for, but dying's easy. I would have killed for that girl. God knows I've cried. Those last lines made me cry. Sorry for you. My mom bullied one girl in high school and shortly after we moved down to where she grew up she got in touch with the lady. She had forgiven my mother long ago and took us out to Cracker Barrel to kinda catch up, I guess. It's been 12 years or so, and mom's not around to clear up details. On the way home that woman got in a car accident and died because she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I had a bully in 8th grade who made my life heck. He was a popular kid who turned everyone against me. It started when his brother spit in my face, so I pushed him down. I know, frick me right. He kept trying to attack me and getting his friends to do the same for the rest of the year until I moved. Fast forward 20 years and I was in the Sally Port waiting my turn to drop off someone I arrested. I saw my old bully get out of the van that is used to take prisoners to court. I gave him a wave and he gave me the finger. How times have changed. I also found out his brother is also a gang member. I had a look in one of his files and there are the world supply of pictures in there of him dressed from head to toe in red with gang tattoos. I would think he would have aged out, but he's a gang member in his early 30s. I guess some people never stop being bullies. I was super mean to this girl in junior high school. My life was crap at the time, so I used that as an excuse to go out of my way and intentionally make her cry at least once a day. Wasn't right, I know, but back then that little pity line of "poor me" got me higher than sea sprinkled shrooms. Unfortunately for her I was quite the persistent little crap, so I succeeded at my goals more often than not. Ended up moving away in the middle of 8th grade and didn't see anyone from there again. Moved it on my own when I was 15. And was finally able to think clearly when I got away from my family cesspool. And I start wondering where she is and whether or not she's okay. I felt like the lowest of low people and wanted to find her and apologize. Searched MySpace and no sign of her. Then later googled her and nothing. Finally, after about 6 years of looking for her, Facebook became a thing and I found her. I wrote her on there apologizing for everything. Spilling my heart out and telling her how incredibly sorry I am for all that I did and said to her. I tell her how I've been trying to find her for 6 years to apologize and would have sooner if I would have found her. I told her how I hoped and prayed she was okay and everything was good in life for her. Her response: haha, no worries. I barely remember you, but thanks for the message. Karma paid me back. I tortured her for 1.5 years and then went on to torture myself for another 6. I def deserved it. Don't do it, people. Bullying is bad. I remember being particularly mean to a small group of kids about 2 years younger than me in middle school, always making them the butt of the joke and physically threatening them on occasion. After high school, I realized just how much of a dong I was to them, and tried to reach out to them on Facebook to see if I could find them to apologize. 2 of them were very receptive and accepted my apologies and said they got over after I had left the school for high school. The other one had killed himself almost a year before I reached out. I will never forgive myself for that. I'm sorry, Thomas. Hush. I'm sure Thomas had more demons than you, but I'm sure you know that. People hang out people like themselves, so it's hopefully likely he would have been the type to forgive too. My best friend and I grew apart in high school and him and my old friends would constantly bully me. A year after we graduated, after I went Mia, he apologized and said he felt bad and I was a good person because I never said crap back to them and treated them with kindness regardless of how they treated me. He probably is genuinely sorry, but I can't forgive TBH. He doesn't deserve it. I can't trust people like that. Just because he owes you an apology doesn't mean you owe him forgiveness. Before any of you reach out to apologize to someone you victimized as a kid, take a moment and ask yourself who you're actually doing it for and why. If it's to make yourself feel better, then don't. If it's because you think they still dwell on it, show them the respect of assuming they've managed to move on. Apologies are about the person you've wronged. Unless you're sure it'll do them some good and isn't self-serving, then suck it up, live with the guilt and leave them the heck alone. In high school, my best friend and I weren't bullies, but we did bully this one kid in particular. He was a couple years younger than us, super into scene emo stuff, and we thought we were so much cooler because we were into better music. Nope, we were just as lame, just mean. We never hurt him physically, but we made fun of him all the time. Made fun of the way he dressed, the concerts he went to, his hair, everything. When we were about to graduate, we kind of realized just how awful we had been to this kid and felt like we needed to somehow make amends. So we found out about a Black Veil Brides, his favorite band of all time, music video shoot and surprised him by taking him to it to be in it with us. Every fiber of our being hated it. We hated that music, the makeup they put on us, everything. And then they put my best friend and I in the very front, so you can see our faces clear as day in the video. But at the end of the night he was almost in tears, telling us how much it meant to him and how he always just wanted us to like him. We don't talk often now, but we keep in touch. He's doing well for himself and I'm proud. My freshman year of college I lived on campus and ended up roommates with an Iranian American. He was quiet and really into focusing on his studies. I was neither of those things and I know we kept him up at times. This was also around when the axis of evil became a thing and I openly joked about a war with Iran. When we came back from Christmas he had moved out. A couple months ago I was in a dark place and I had just put my son down to sleep. I was scrolling Facebook that evening and saw him come up on my people you may know list. I felt an overwhelming sadness come over me when I pictured my son treated that way. I immediately messaged him and apologized. He was very kind in his response and downplayed a lot of it. He even apologized for abruptly moving out, which was completely unnecessary. We talked about how much of an impact having a kid had upon me and about raising the next generation to be better people. He's done very well after college and I'm happy for him. A different kind of bully, but I was a nice guy. I cringe looking back at some of the things I said to people. I had this expectation that I should be liked and loved and it took me a long time to learn that those things are earned. I did the usual tactics. Woe is me to try to manipulate people. In some ways I think it's worse than your standard bullying because it makes people feel bad for you instead of just straight up loathing you like a regular bully. I am happily married now, but I still think of the things I said to some women. It wasn't nice. It was bratty and manipulating and I never once considered their feelings. I haven't contacted anyone, and there are two in particular that I owe apologies to, but I haven't because I'm married. I'm also afraid of what I will find out about myself. I'm afraid that who I am now is just a charade and I am still that monster. On topic. There was a kid I went to school with from kindergarten through like 7th or 8th grade and we were good friends when we were young, but around 4th grade it became obvious he had some learning disability. He had a hard time reading and everybody just piled onto him mercilessly whenever the opportunity arose. Honestly, I wasn't that much higher on the social ladder, but I was the smart kid in the class, so at least I had that going for me. But I felt like crap for a long time because I just piled onto the guy with everyone else whenever I could, just to try and get the negative attention away from me. I have regrets because we were buddies growing up and I just turned into a crap friend when he became the uncool one. I reached out to him a few years ago on Facebook and apologized for not being there for him. He said it was all good and that he didn't hold any grudges and that stuff growing up turned him into the person he is today. He seems like he's got an okay job, a decent life, and a hot fiance wife, whatever they are. Kind of off topic. As I said above, I was not one of the cool kids, and I got picked on a fair amount but nothing like what the other guy got. I had one of the guys that picked on me connect with me on Facebook and apologize to me. He seemed pretty genuine about it, and I appreciated him saying sorry, so I'm okay with that. On the flip side, my parents still live in the same town and my mom ran into another one of my former classmates who picked on me. This guy really was a dong. He recognized her, had her pass along his phone number to get in touch with me, giving my mom the impression that he wanted to apologize for being said dong. But with this guy, I really just don't want to hear it. He was a total butt who I would rather just forget. Obviously I haven't been successful. I just want to move on. Is it wrong that I don't want to give him a chance? I wasn't a bully, but this reminded me of a story. Might as well type it out. About a year ago I had a dream where I saw the 3 guys that bullied me the worst in high school. I had it bad from these kids. In the dream I went off on them on how crappy they treated me, and one of them, we'll call him Kevin, really took the time to give me a solid, empathetic apology. It was such a touching apology that I thought about it all day after I woke up. A week later, I found out through some old schoolmates that Kevin had died of a H overdose a couple days before. I know dreams are totally coincidence, but I feel a lot of emotions about it. I hope he didn't suffer too much at the end, even with how bad he treated me, and I'm glad that I got to make peace with him in some way. Not the bully but the one that was bullied. Saw the bully 5-6 years later at a concert. He recognized me, stopped what he was doing, came over and simply apologized for being a dong. Said he didn't know what he was thinking or why he did it in the first place. Totally unsolicited and sincere. Made all the difference in the world to me. I was a bully to a bully, I guess. There was this girl we'll call Rachel. She was beautiful, long dark hair, olive skin, fairly wealthy family, etc. She was a horrible person. She made fun of disabled kids. She threw food at my friends and I and called us all kinds of names. She stole my friends' notes right before a test and lit them on fire. All sorts of crap. Our senior year she started to go after one of my friends really bad. My friend decided to go out for volleyball and made varsity while Rachel did not. So then things got bad. Rachel would go out with her friends after school and smoke behind one of the buildings by a big dumpster. I'm not a big girl, 5 feet 5 inches, 130 lbs, but I'm freakishly strong. Rachel is like 90 pounds. One day I'm walking by on my way to the bus and she yells something at me and I don't know what came over me, but I stopped, walked over to her, grabbed her by the shirt and front of her shorts and threw her into the dumpster. Her friends just stood there like, oh crap. I just walked away, didn't know what came over me, but I was pretty happy with myself after that, and every time I saw her after school, maybe once or twice a week, I'd chase her down, carry her to a dumpster and toss her in. It got so she'd run from me because she knew what I'd do if I saw her. Her friends would yell but no one ever tried to stop me or reported it. Haven't seen her since high school, but maybe I should say I'm sorry for taking it a bit too far. Call me vindictive, but as someone who got bullied a lot as a kid to the point where I still feel it's affecting my life 25 years later, I really don't want any of my bullies to come up to me and apologize. After everything they put me through and after all the struggles I still have with socializing because of it, there is no way I'm going to give them any peace of mind if they should somehow suddenly feel sorry. An apology like that is probably gonna be more about them feeling better about themselves than about making me feel better anyway. I recently met one of my old school bullies through a coworker. I hung out with a group of what's considered the unpopular kids. Then she came along and decided she didn't like me. She turned the few friends I had against me, went out of her way to exclude me, and did everything she could to let me know I was not wanted around. I was treated the same way at home and I honestly just needed someone. Anyway, I met her as an adult and we started talking and I eventually brought up the bullying. Turns out she didn't even remember any of it, but she still profusely apologized. I forgave her and even shared some of my snacks with her. We talked it out. He forgave me. We shook hands and wished each other the best of luck in our future endeavors. I never forgave myself though. I called a girl a C in college and she cried, apologized for it a couple years later. She didn't remember it and just laughed about it. Being the smallest kid in class through all of K-12, I was on the bullied end of it all the time. If you think you changed and want to call me to apologize, go frick yourself. I don't want to hear it and I have no forgiveness to offer you. You helped make all the formative years of my life heck, and there is no amount of change you can go through that I care to give one crap about your feelings now. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.